Okay, rear brakes on a Volvo C70. Pretty simple. Couple tools you need. Big screwdriver. I'm using this for my punch. Anything will work. Got to take these pins out here. There's two pins, one upper, one lower. Remove the upper one first. I find that's easier. Let me see if I can set this camera up so we can get a good view. Got a can of brake clean. And, let's see if we can more or less take this shot. Simple. Your kids could do this. So take your punch and simply tap. Tap those through. Might take a little work getting them out. These have never been out before. Take a little persuasion, but you just drive them through. My punch won't go all the way through the hole, but you might be able to find something in your garage that will. If so, drive all the way through, but if not, take a pair of pliers and persuade them out. Might have to wiggle it back and forth a little bit, but they will eventually come out, and you're left with this. Now you noticed the spring here, this is what holds your brake pad in. It's pivoted by the bottom pin. So secondly, we'll set that first pin to the side. Secondly, we'll come to the bottom pin here. And you might even be able to use your hand if you're macho enough, but and there it goes. And actually flew across the garage and your pin came out, so they come out pretty easily. Set your spring and your two pins to the side for now. Take your larger screwdriver and gently just give it a wiggle, pry them. They're kind of in there. They're seated on the caliper heads. So just give them a little jostle and they'll work straight out. Kind of like taking toast out of a toaster. Come straight out. This is your inner. And it's got this Fandango little wear pad here. I'm going to set that to the side. And same with the outside caliper or pad. Give it a little persuasion there. Pull that out. It's also got the same wear pad. Then you're left with that. So we're going to take some brake clean. I'll just set a rag underneath it. It dries pretty rapidly. Just so I don't get a puddle running down the garage floor, but give it a nice spray down. Do this in a well-ventilated area without any spark because it is flammable. At that point, let me get us another rag here. Just gonna give that a dab, give that rotor an overall look. Should spin pretty freely now that there's no pad in there. Wipe those down nice. You don't want to get any grease inside of this area or on the new pad, which I'll get now. These are some really nice pads. They're by EBC Brakes, and it's be a lifetime pad. You won't have to replace these again, at least for another 125,000 miles. So very good pad. They're green. Now this particular style has the wear pads directly on the pad itself, so we don't have to install those wear pads. They're already present and accounted for, so we can disregard those. And if you notice, the older pad did not have that installed, different style. So once we get it to that, dialed into that, we're going to take the screwdriver Now the caliper is pushed in because when you push in your brakes, the caliper squeezes the brake pads against the rotor and causes friction, which causes you to stop. So you just take your screwdriver and you pry in between the rotor and the caliper, and you'll just push them in. They push in fairly easy. Just apply steady pressure, and you'll be able to push them in as far as they can go. You do both sides. There's a caliper on each side of the disc. Sometimes as you push one caliper, the other caliper will come back out. That's not an issue, because what we'll do is we'll do this outside pad first. And so I'm going to apply some of the EBC brake lubricant. Make sure you do not get that brake lubricant on the inside of the pad. That's bad. So this a little goes a long way, and you just want it on the mounting surfaces. Something like that. Okay, and we're going to set that to the side, making sure that we don't get any grit or grime. I'll take my pin here, and I'm just going to give it a slight wash down or rub with my hand. They clean up fairly easily. I'm going to take a little bit of that lubricant, and I'm going to lubricate this pin so it slides in there nicely, and set that to the side. Take your pad and insert back into slot. Should fit snugly but nicely. We don't want to go too far because your pin's got to line up. Okay, and once you get it into that position, go ahead and come over back to your other rotor. Now that we've got this pad in, the other caliper, and pry that caliper back in so the other pad fits in nicely. We're going to apply this same amount of EBC anti-seize to this side of the pad. Something like that. And then we're going to go ahead and slide this guy back in here. Should slide in very nicely. Now don't go too far at this point. Should fit in there nice and snug. Here's the sweet spot. We'll take our bottom pin, okay, and our spring. I'll give that spring a little spray down as well. Okay, you're going to take your bottom spring, and you're going to set your spring in there, like so. Let me get this pin started first. You get your pin started. I'm going to make sure that my bad, gotta go in from the inside. Set the spring in there, and then we'll get that pin started through the spring, because that's what holds that spring in. See how that's sitting there like that? And go ahead and seat that pin completely with a dead blow. This top pin is just simply doing that same step in reverse. That other pin actually flew across the garage. Like I said, this isn't under great tension at all. So you could have your kid do this for you. Get some learning experience with mechanics. Kids these days are becoming too dependent on their electronic devices to do things. Well, your phone's not going to do this for you. And it costs a pretty penny to have people do this. So, what we'll do is get that started. Might need to take a screwdriver and get that to where it's lined up, because that spring is under tension now. But nothing that, just a little bit of precision does it. Make sure those are seated completely. Okay, and voila, your brake job is done.